for life.
I should have used this.
So
when I was
quick and
doing
so
that.
easy. I love it.
Let me see if it actually works, though.
OBS is not too bad.
We are live. And we are welcoming everybody
Yep.
into the room. Hey, you beat me to it. Welcome to Reborn, RTV, and welcome back. I said welcome like 3 times because I'm not really ready to kick it off. So there you go. But thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And we have a very fun episode. We actually decided to bring back Cammie.
Well, she's back from her trip.
Yeah, but the budget's going to really impact us after this episode, so you might not see her no more because she just costs way too much. Don't know who decided to sign that contract, but they were not paying attention. But thank you for tuning in with us, like always, I guess,
Thanks.
whatever. But today I got a really good topic for all of us, and I want to see what y'all's views were first before we really pushed it off, and I can't surrender. For some reason, it wouldn't come out. I guess that's a good example. Can you surrender? Because I couldn't even say it. But when I talk about surrender, what are your first like thoughts about it? Like when it comes to this.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, I guess the first thing I thought of, which I have thought of it before, was kind of like just giving it over, like just kind of giving in. I know some people have spoken about surrendering, like, oh, that just means you're giving up. I mean, in a way, yes, I give it, but
It's okay to give up to the right person.
oh, right, exactly. I'm giving up, right? Yeah, and that's So I think when people hear it that way, they're like, well, "I'm not going to give up. What do you mean? Why would you do that?" Or but it's true to the right person,
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of.
What about you?
Things.
I'd give up to Mike Tyson.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know.
I'd surrender
You know
quick.
what?
I don't know. Might take one punch.
I would
That's a
want
lot
to
of
take
money.
one punch just
I've heard
just
that.
to say it.
No. I've
I'm
heard
just
people
saying.
talk about that. They go, would you get in the ring with Mike Tyson for $1 million?
Yes,
and they go,
absolutely.
yeah, I'd do it. And they go, he hit you one time. Do you realize it would cost you $10 million to get your head put back on straight?
You know what? But then I would say I survived a punch from Mike Tyson.
Well, you may have.
May survive.
If
You
you
may
get,
not be able to
hey,
say
listen,
that, though,
if you're getting coloring books for Christmas for the rest of your life, you didn't survive it. Okay.
What are you gonna do with the rest of your
Coloring
money?
books are okay. I'm not prejudiced against coloring books.
I love coloring books. What about you? What's your thoughts on the term surrender? What do you?
Not about Mike Tyson.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. I don't know who that is.
I know. See, I knew.
No, I do know who
I
that is.
wasn't
I was
listening.
playing.
Did she do this in class
She's
too?
like,
What? Wait.
sometimes
So
no.
Mike Tyson for us. What's Muhammad Ali's daughter's name?
Leah?
Lee Ali. Leah or Tali?
I don't know.
Tiali? Something I don't
Something
remember.
like that.
She don't know.
All right. you continue.
She still wouldn't know
I'm
that.
confused.
We already got her lost.
Okay, so can you re-ask me a question again? So I make sure. I
How would
answer.
you define surrender?
I would say just letting it go, just holding nothing back and just full on surrendering.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, you're not giving up control. You're giving the control back to the one who's never has truly lost it. Correct? Like, to me, I feel like surrendering would be that you're giving everything into that person. Like you're still I wouldn't say in control of it, but you're now more aware of like everything that you used to do, like the previous actions, the sins, and all that. Now you are now aware of it, and you're ready to give all those up and surrender those things because you don't want to be a part of that lifestyle no more.
Right.
And then you have the mindset and the actions that you now want to step forward in a more, I don't want to say a Christian-y way because that's kind of like, I don't know, I feel like that's demeaning it. I'm trying to think of the right
No,
word.
surrender means that I am willingly giving my life to God in a way that says, make me more like Christ, in which you are becoming more Christ-like, aka than Christian, when you're doing that. But surrender's, I guess, fun to talk around the table, but it's much more difficult because surrender includes,
Right.
we talked about, what is it, Friday? Wednesday, it's about sacrifice. Surrender and sacrifice go together. It's like,
Right.
that means I don't get to do what I want. I do what,
Right.
what your dog's name is Cinnamon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, your dog doesn't realize he's surrendered. My dog does. You see?
Yeah.
He's always on a leash if you're going to take him anywhere, and he's always pulling on it. Doesn't realize he's captive. He's captive too. But see the difference?
Yeah.
He's content with where he's at. Matter of fact, he was standing outside waiting for me to go let him in here because he was like, I ain't staying out here. But that's the difference between I think that's the surrender. Both are, whether we choose to surrender or not to God, we're still under his jurisdiction for him to put us and hold us however he wants. It's much easier and much more pleasant when you give in.
Not being pulled.
Yeah,
Right.
when you're not pulling
So would you
against
say
him.
that
Yeah.
surrender is not
Right.
passive, but it's the most active form in our faith?
Exactly. Because
Because you're
the active part about
choosing
it,
obedience versus convenience and control,
or self.
or over
That's
self, right?
that's the battle. You're having to surrender, and the fight is what I want to do, where I want to go, what I prefer, how I want to spend my money, how I, get to do that.
Right.
Right.
So I wanted to actually touch the point on where surrender begins is where our strength ends. And I feel like with this, most people have more problems is when if they have plans or actions before the surrendering, like if they feel like when they get to that end point, everything falls apart in their life. They don't know what to do. They feel lost. They don't feel like nothing's in order anymore. They're pretty much at their most vulnerable place in mind. And my question is, when they're at that point, there's always the two roads. Do I keep fighting and do it the way I want to do it, or do they surrender and let go and then follow the way that God does it? Because God does say, let go, trust me, follow me. So how can someone that always takes this option learn to open up to this option?
Well, it's
When do they
I'm-
know
I'm
in their
not-
mindset? Like when is it appropriate for them to understand and say, I'm ready to let go? When does that click happen?
oh no, I can't even clear my vision. I'm thinking the difference between option and choice. Do we think they mean the same thing? I make a choice to do something contrary to to not surrender to God. It's a choice, but I don't get the option of what the consequence is. I choose to do what God tells me to do, and I still don't get the option of what the consequences are, even though they're positive, right? Because I don't know the impact of either one of them, right? So I do, I give a cup of water, and Jesus goes, "That's great," right? And you think, well, it wasn't really that big. He goes, "You don't know what that meant," because we never do. We
Right.
never know the
We
impact.
never,
The
you said,
blast
that
zone,
blast
we
zone,
never know.
We never know what the littlest things
So,
could do. Right?
yeah. So I think you can choose to surrender to him or not, but there's consequences. And just because we were talking about this during COVID when we stopped shutting down. He said, wouldn't it be a lot easier if God would just shoot you with a lightning bolt real quick? I've been watching some of these people that are messing around with cops, and they get pushed too far, and the cop shoots them with a taser. Wouldn't it be nice if God just tased us, every once in a while?
Right.
You go, well, I'm not going to do that today. And God goes, are you sure? You go, yeah. It'd be a lot easier, but he doesn't do that because even with those, he's long suffering, but we don't always understand. The longer I go disobeying, the more I'm sowing that I'm going to have to reap.
I think it's because also it doesn't help that their mindset usually falls into, if God doesn't do it now, then it's not going to happen. I got to take care of it myself.
On the side of when you're praying, say help here, do this,
Right.
whatever. You go, okay, I got
Clearly, my prayer is not
Yeah.
working. He's not answering it. It's not getting done.
Yeah.
I got to do this myself because obviously, in their mindset, I'm not saying it because I know better. It's
Yeah.
because I got to establish that God doesn't know what He's doing. I know this is what I need to do. I got to do this. This is what I'm intended to do to make this move, but He's not answering. So I'm just going to go ahead and take the executive decision and do it.
Yep. And how does that
Well,
work?
Yeah, exactly. That doesn't work, and how often, I say we, but in general, people will say, yes, I surrender, and right after that, the very next day, or something will happen, and be like, oh, well, maybe I don't. And so they go back and forth, or we go back and forth. I mean, that's happened many times in my
Right.
life too. Sure,
Yeah.
you know, it's not completely like, and it's not a perfect. Like you say, how do they learn how to do that? I just like with anything, with your prayer life, your walk, it's a gradual process of something of learning. I mean, how can you completely
Right.
say that? It's not like it doesn't get shut on tomorrow and like, well, I completely surrender now. Everything's great and perfect. You know, we talked about stuff like that before. It's
Yes.
not like
It's
that.
perfect till you got to let go of what
Until
you
you
want to
truly
do.
And I
gotta
love
let
this
go.
right now because this is where I actually want to bring up to is I don't think it's what we're doing is truly a true surrender then, because what we do is
I agree.
Yeah.
we circle back to where,
Sure.
well, I did surrender, but God, you're not hurrying up in this,
or
so
I
I'm just going to
surrender
go ahead.
here, but not
Yeah.
here.
Right.
I mean,
So,
I'm okay to do it
what
here.
word
but-
then can we use for this
Yeah.
scenario? What is
That's-
an appropriate definition for it? If it's not surrender, because obviously
It's
not,
rebellion.
it's a form of rebellion
It's-
to a certain
Yeah.
degree though, because you're still wanting to like follow
Yeah.
God's step,
With-
but only to a
well-
certain extent. So I mean, yeah, you're being
It's,
rebellious.
It's kind of like saying, well,
it's,
I wanted to do
I know the-
that, but
a,
I did
a
it. It doesn't matter. You still did it.
lackadaisical faith.
Uh,
Like I'm just
it's
rolling along.
circumstantial obedience.
That okay? I like that circumstantial
Yeah.
obedience.
But if you want to know,
Obedience.
if you want to know, if a person wants to know if they're surrendering, I think there's probably three ways you can do that. One is, do you skip
Leg
other
day?
things to do, to read the word?
mm-hmm.
Check your checkbook.
Mhm.
Look at your checkbook, and look at your willingness to speak out for Him to others.
Right.
And those are, am I surrendered? You take a look at those three things and you go, no, I'm not. You know,
See,
And,
I have three things too, and it's honesty, trust, and then obedience.
honesty, trust, and obedience. Okay. On our part,
On our
Yeah,
part,
that's
on
right.
our part. That's how I kind of feel like with it, because what I'm wanting to guide into is, and I hate using this word, and I'm pretty sure you probably would too, is why is surrender so hard?
no, it's hard.
You
Yeah, it's hard. Let's don't try to soft shoe it. It's hard because our self-will, we want to do. That's why it talks about the old man and the new man. We're always fighting the old man. Now an unsaved person doesn't have a new man, so
Right.
there's no fight.
But I'm saying it
Yeah.
more as that's always been a cop-out excuse, saying life is hard, this
No,
is
well,
hard,
yeah.
and I don't want the
We've-
same definition or meaning of that type of hard falling into the surrender
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah, we don't. If we will take a look at the people around us that are doing hard, I mean, they're like people in our church. You look at them, and some of our older people, and we don't know how hard it is for some of our folks to get here on a Sunday. And we might not want to get up because we played too many video games till 4 a.m. Oh, I'm just too tired. Go tell those guys that.
I'm up to like 2 or 3 every day.
Yeah, well, that's my life. But
I
yeah.
struggle with sleep.
yeah,
What?
yeah,
Yeah,
me too. But I bet not
If-
for the same reasons.
No, I could sleep for like 15 minutes and I'm hosed. I won't be able to fall asleep till like 2 a.m. And that's me laying
See,
down there.
that's me. If I take a nap in the afternoon,
I'm done.
then I can sleep at night. But if I don't take the nap, I'll do the nap at 11 or 12, and then I'm awake till 4. I can tell you when Jack Benny comes on. I can tell you when George Burns and Gracie Allen comes on, because those two put me to sleep. So, and it's around.
I'll have to
But
turn
I work
NASCAR
so
or something.
I work so for so many years. I worked Saturday night to Sunday morning, and I know when my REM sleep is. It's between 4 and 6. So that's when I know, because I will just conk, and my brain stops working for a while, more
Most-
so for a while in that period. I know where that REM sleep is at, and because of working that, I know. Okay, between 4 and 6, you guys got to remember what to do, because I ain't gonna remember.
Right.
But it's hard, and it's gonna. But what we call hard, Paul, he has things that we would call, that is extreme. These are extreme things. Oh my gosh, Paul, these are extreme. And he goes, but this light affliction is just for a moment. His stuff, he called it a light affliction.
Right.
We think it's an affliction because it's raining outside and we're going to come to church.
It's
Oh, we're affliction.
inconvenience
Or the air conditioner's not working in the church or something like that. Oh, I can't do it here. And it's like, so we're not even there. We're not even at the gate yet when we're
Right.
talking about it. And some of this surrender, back in the day, so, talking about when we if you come to work at Fidelity, there's things you're going to do. You're going to work 50 or 60 hours a week. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. That's what they called the price of entry. That was the price of entry. Yeah, he's
We
not a
almost
jump
had a
roper.
live incident.
Yeah. That's what's called price of entry. And there's price of entry when you come in. People think, well, once I get saved and it's all done, and God's just waiting for me to, come through the pearly gates, check my ticket, run my baggage through, and I'm done.
Right.
And that ain't it.
Mm-mm.
And it's Him conforming us to the image of His Son. Oh, and that's the other thing. You can go, am I more like Jesus? Well, no. Okay, then there's work to be done.
Right.
Right.
So with all this said, I feel like these 4 parts that I have broken down: control, humility, patience, and risk. The first part, control, I think is what we all struggle with the most, is the fact that, I don't know about everybody, but you want a certain percent of control in your life. You feel like you want to have, well, not feel that you want the majority of your life that you're in control. Like, I control, the house I own, the car I drive, the books I read, the music I listen to. I don't want you to have any word of it. And then I feel like because of the amount of control, it's hard to give up some of those things because you've been in control of it so long that when you surrender to God, now you're feeling like, I mean, I've been a good person. Why do I have to give up these key items already? I mean, they're not impacting my life or making any detrimental things happen because of it. I feel like control is one of the biggest steps that you have to hurdle first.
Okay, so the 4 that you mentioned, they're not in any particular order.
No.
Okay.
No. I didn't put no control.
It's the greatest, one of the greatest days of your life besides your salvation is when you learn that you never had control in the first place.
Right.
When you realize, because you I got my house, I got this, I got that, and you know what?
It can go.
It can go away just like that.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Exactly.
And I think about the cars I've owned. I've owned a few cars in my life. And you're like, man, where's this car? I don't know where it's at now.
Right.
But man, when I had it, I was taking care of it. And I was washing it and doing all this stuff. And this is going to be my car. Oh, but then there's that car. And then there's that car.
Right.
And then there's another one. And all of a sudden that stuff, and you realize, I think Job, I was reading, I'm getting ready to finish. Actually, I'm where God's getting ready to talk to everybody in Job in 38. And Job was talking about, I never had it. All that stuff I never had it. God in one day took all that away.
Right, and I think that's what freaks me out a lot when I hear people say, this is mine. God didn't give it to me. I earned it myself. Because I will say, like, back then, before all this, before the surrendering, I won't lie, I had that kind of a mindset where I feel like I was very accomplished because I earned those things. Not realizing that God gave me those things. Especially, I think I tend to be more on the cringy freak out side when they say this is my kids and my choices when it comes to church and God and all that stuff. I feel like you've seen it in the Bible and everything. God can take it away, and I think that's what drives that fear in me. Like, I want to make sure my kids are always here. They're listening because my kids are His first.
Yep.
If I'm wording that correctly.
No, they're His only.
Right.
Yeah. They're His only.
And so when people start saying that this is my house, I earned it, God didn't do anything for me to get to this point, I just feel like, gosh, that if it just takes one snap of the thumb like Thanos and it could be gone.
Do you remember the old? Were you here when the old? I don't think you were when the old guitar player was here. Used to play and lead singing. I won't mention his name. I don't want to embarrass him, but played, and he had a stroke, and he can't. I think it's his left hand. He can't chord, can't play, and it went away just like that. It just done, and I've seen that with a lot of folks. You go up to Beautiful Feet when we were up there, and Anthony he was making good money. He was 40 years old. He had 40. He had a stroke, and he was crippled. And he goes, it was just, he's 41 or so when I was talking to him, and he goes, a year ago I owned a house, I had a car, I had this job, and he was like a manager, but he was making money, and one stroke, all gone.
Right.
And it didn't recover. I mean, 40, and you think, well,
young enough to maybe recover, but
no.
And I think that also falls like on when it comes to scenarios like that, you see the split in difference in people's personality the most, where half of them start saying, "Why me, God? Why are you attacking me?"
Yeah.
And the other is just my luck.
Yeah.
Type
You think of
stuff.
you think of the people that are hiding right now in Nigeria. I think I saw a stat earlier today. It was 125,000 Christians have been killed, murdered, and they're not doing anything about it. It's all talk. But the question is, why do they have to live here, or live there, and suffer that, and you get to live here and not?
Right.
That's not fair. One person made the comment, "Why is this happening to me?" And the response was, "Why not you? Why not you?" So, well, I don't want that. So, yeah, but why not? Other people are dealing with it. Why not you too?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like,
It
that's
kinda
what
hits you.
surrender's about.
Yeah, and I mean, you
Yeah.
bring that up. I feel like that's a key part of humility, right there.
Yeah,
because
that why me is like, that's my it's my thing.
You got humbled right there because my plan isn't always the best plan. It's not God's plan. You might think in your head that the plan that I have for my life and my future and how I'm going to be raised or raise my future after that is going to be the best thing out there, but no, it's not. It's God's plan that He has for you, and you got to learn how to open up and listen and accept that. And that's then it falls back to where I brought up earlier, the control.
Yep.
So and that's why I have it broken apart, because each of those things has such a key factor to one another. Because then from the humility, the patience then needs to fall, because we all struggle for it. We want it done as fast as we can. Like, I mean, if it was possible, like an app, you want to download your plan and just look through your phone and be like, okay, Wednesday of next week, I'm supposed to be doing this per God's notes.
Yeah.
Like how easy would that be?
Yeah.
Wish you would give
But
Cliff Notes.
humility is interesting that we don't think about, and that's why in our ministry, in our leadership ministry, we're servant leaders, because that's what Christ taught. If I will wash feet, you wash feet too.
Right.
That's why our leaders, we look at leaders. Are you taking out the trash? Are you paying attention to these things? And you go, well, there's other people. No, humility puts us down at the feet, right? And it's a practice that all of us have to do, or we get out of it. We get out of the humility part and think of entitlement. I'm too good to.
I didn't even think about adding entitlement on here.
Oh yeah.
That's a good
Well,
one.
entitlement's I think that's the flip side of humility.
That's
The yin to the
that's
yang
our
of
world
it.
right now. Everybody
Yeah.
feels entitled,
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
I shouldn't have to.
after you reach your whatever your
I feel
high
like younger
status
generations feel that way.
is.
Maybe
younger
some.
generations. It's true,
She can't remember the entitles to any song she listened.
No comment.
I don't get it. So
Oh.
That was for the
I
older
tell,
folks.
I tell my mom, no one can insult me because I don't understand their insults.
No one consult me.
Insult.
Oh,
I
I
said
thought that was a
insult.
new
You
term,
said-
salt
I
me.
thought she said salt too.
You know
You
what?
can't
We're
hear.
using it. Nope, that's a new. Starting now, we just started a whole new
got
term.
salted.
You
Stop
just got
salting me.
salted. There's no pepper to that.
Yeah.
That just made it sound lame.
Yeah, I was about to say that was not it.
And there goes our new fad.
It didn't last long.
yeah, going back to humility and patience, I feel like the last thing that a lot may struggle with is risk, because to them they feel like it's not a physical thing that they can. We talked about it actually. The whole being the physical presence and seeing it with your own eyes and being a part of it makes you feel like it's more real. But when you're reading it and even though we truly understand, but for another person outside looking in, well, yeah, God split the seas through, the book and everything, but he didn't really do it in my eyes. How do I know this is actually factual? Or, you know what? Noah built this massive ark that housed all these animals. I mean, I can go Google how to build my own boat. That's nothing crazy. But even though that was the most lamest example I could have provided.
Like, who's
But-
building boats?
Right. But you see what I mean? Like, people need to
It doesn't
see.
seem real. To
Right.
me. It's not real.
Thank
I
you.
understand that
That's-
it's not real,
yeah.
right? So, just as
We
maybe
need
now,
physical proof.
okay, well maybe even nowadays how you guys were talking about baseball. I only knew one person you guys were talking about as far as who, but I knew it was about baseball. I don't have any real connection to baseball, your soccer, and all the other sports. I don't know anything about any of that.
K-pop.
So it's not, I don't know anything about K-pop. It's not that important to me, right? And I don't know a lot about it. So I am distant from that to where I don't really care. I'll be honest, I'm like,
Mhm.
so
She
it's
won't be
because,
on next week's
it's because it's out of my mind. I don't understand it. I don't know it. It's not personal to me.
Yeah.
So
Right.
reading God's word in practice and then also living it is important to me. But it's important because I live it, because I believe it, and it's a constant something. I'm not talking about baseball every day to know to care,
Right.
And if somebody
Yeah.
were to pass away from a baseball team, that maybe a real famous person, I'd be like, oh man, that's so sad. But it doesn't affect me because I don't really know
Right.
who he
Not
was.
engaged.
I had
no,
no
that's
relationship
great.
with him.
Yeah,
or
no,
her,
that's a
right?
great
The-
example.
what I have is, I'm like, oh, well, I'm sorry they died, but I move on. I
Well,
go on
I
with my
think
day and like.
I think it's
not a
more
big deal.
because, and let me put it in young people term, hashtag, they want to catch Jesus in 4K. That's
okay.
where I'm trying to get
Yeah.
to. They want to see it.
Yeah.
That's the people that were there at the time when Jesus said, if you want to be my disciple, you have to pick up your cross and follow me. Well, they knew exactly what he was talking about because all they had to do was walk outside if they were around Jerusalem and look over there on Calvary,
See the cross.
Golgotha, and they'd see people hanging up there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's why when we try to describe it, that that movie, The Passion of the Christ, I haven't found one that's more gross than that one to show what Christ, not even close, but as close as I've ever seen
Right.
in a movie. And you watch that every day.
And I mean, you watch that and you
And
have
you
a
go,
hard time stomaching it.
That's me now.
Mm-hmm.
What is he? What is he telling me to do that I can't do?
Right.
If I'm going to die,
Once you see
Yeah.
that, and then you, if you can walk away and turn around and say, yeah, well, let me go do what I want to do here real quick.
it's tough.
Because
Yeah.
you can't.
Mhm.
I can't because and I know what he did for me, and it's like, how am I
Yeah.
gonna just turn my back like that?
I
and
think
just
it's
say, "Well,
because a lot of people feel like surrendering is a form of weakness.
sure, I can see that
Yep.
some people would.
I've heard people say-
to me, it's like
But
you
I-
surrender to
but I
God,
am
you're weak.
I understand. I am
Yeah.
weak. I do need.
Yeah.
Right.
I've heard
I'm
people
weak,
say,
no?
well, you weak-minded people have to have a God to tell you what to do.
Yes.
And the answer is yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so do you.
Right.
The
Yeah,
difference
they just don't
between me and
realize
you is I know I'm weak-minded and you
Mhm.
don't think you are.
Right. You
You
just
know,
don't realize.
Professing
Just-
themselves to be wise, they became fools,
I feel like it's not entirely like the weak side of it. I feel like you're stronger admitting that you're weak. Like it's a stronger action of yourself saying, "Yes, Lord, I'm weak. I know I need you. I need to just give everything to you in that."
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, but I think the hardest part is putting it into practical terms. Walk through a day and say, okay, what did I do today? And then someone said this, and what did I do? Oh, I popped it back up. Surrender wouldn't do that.
right.
And, I told you about-
told him this.
yeah, I
I
told you this.
clapped back at Cammy yesterday.
I was in a meeting with a bunch of folks, and I saw the coffee, and I let somebody else get up and do it, and I could have done it. Servant,
Yeah.
It's like, well, I can't do that because they're going to think it doesn't matter what they think. Are you actually being the servant? And the I think it was who it was that said it says people don't realize You become in charge when you choose to be the servant. Remember the if you're compelled to go a mile, go the second mile.
Yeah, push yourself to that next mile, next marker.
The first mile was required.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a Roman soldier laid his rucksack down and said, "Carry it." You had to carry it. So you are now the slave. The second mile, you're not the slave anymore. And that's what we need. When I'm choosing to be a servant, I'm choosing to do something most people don't want to do.
Right.
Right.
I would encourage, I mean, if you can physically do it, and I know you probably have experienced this, like when you go for a jog and you're saying you're going to do a mile every day, I think the challenge is always not just the mile. The mile is never the hard part. It's that second mile. Once you get the mile done, you realize that you at the momentum you have, the pace you have, that second mile is always actually the easiest mile to do. The first mile is the hardest. You got to get stretched. You got to get your body warmed up. Then you got to find your pace. If you ever, like, when I used to go running a lot and time myself every mile interval, my first mile is my slowest. My second and third was my fastest.
Get into your groove.
My fourth one, I felt like I was dying, and that was the worst one of them all.
That was your wall.
That was my wall.
That was your wall.
But relating it towards life and everything, that first mile for us is the hardest because we got to find that groove that we don't. We still all struggle to this day on finding that pace with God.
Yep. Stand till it's over. Stand till the job is done. Instead of going, I'm going to do this, and this is all I have to do. Or, and I think one of the worst statements a Christian can ever say, not a Christian if they say this, in my opinion, is, I've done my fair share.
Right.
I've done. No, you haven't. Are you dead? No. Then you haven't done your fair share yet.
Right.
You haven't done. Let's see. You do your part, and then as you're doing your part, I'll do your part too, and I'll do your part too, and I'll get their part too, and I'm going to do as much as I can through that. To excel. Why? Because now I'm in charge.
Right.
I'm in charge of that. Right. And that's what people don't see. It was like, there's people that do that work. And there's people that do that work. It's like,
right.
Yeah, but the people that are doing this right aren't afraid to do that.
Do you concur with all this? I feel like we haven't allowed you to speak because we've been bulldozing.
She's still thinking about her dog.
No.
Cinnamon.
Why is he not like Blue?
He's never met Blue before. Okay. Yes, I do. I mean,
okay, so
that was the only thing that you asked me, so how was I supposed to answer?
You can speak if you
Sure.
want to.
Yes.
Did he tell you can't speak?
Because I'm paying you. It said you have to have at least 70% of
I have to
conversations.
have so much airtime.
And I had to
with you.
deduct hers. She's now down to 5%. We're at 4 right now with her. Before I have to pay her overtime. Okay, shit, no more laughing.
Wait a second. You guys are getting paid?
Yes.
Oh,
No,
man.
but like through everything that we discussed and everything, like surrendering from a younger mindset, do you feel like patience, humility, all this stuff like has like a more impact towards you or anything of that sort?
Towards me, I would say,
Or you could speak for the younger gen?
I'll speak for the younger generation. I would say
Hashtag
that
youngsies.
one thing that I've seen with the Yeezys.
The youngies?
Oh, okay. I would say with the younger generation that a lot of the issue with them is the entitlement. You see it everywhere. They have that entitlement of like, I don't need a God, I don't need church, I don't need that, I don't need this. I'm perfectly fine just the way I am. That's the way that I see it with the younger generation, is that they think that they're perfectly fine just the way they are. And they have a reason for every single thing they do. You ask them, why do you do this? That's not right. 1,000 different reasons why they do it. Every single thing. So I would say the entitlement is a very big issue with whenever it comes to the younger people for surrender. And there could be other reasons why too, but I definitely think entitlement is one of the big ones because you see it everywhere you go. It's like they have entitlement with this. They're like, I'm not going to do that. That's just for this person or that person. Or y'all aren't catching me do this. A lot of things I've seen nowadays is people are like, you're not going to catch me doing this or doing that or doing this.
Or
You're not
being
going to
caught
catch
in
me.
4K with Jesus.
Yeah. You're just like, you're not going to catch me cleaning up no tables. You're not going to catch me doing this. You're not going to catch me doing that or this or that. And it's like entitlement is ridiculous nowadays.
And I'll add to that. I didn't make that mess.
Yeah, it's not my
So
problem.
I'm not gonna. No.
And you know
Yeah.
this is actually a serious thing for her because you saw how snappy her wrist and finger pointing was. I mean, she was really into
Just
that.
moving fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
You always
for
know how
sure, I
serious a
see
person
that.
is by the wrist snaps.
I'll throw it out on Ricardo and Lindsay, her mom and dad. Is
Now you got really thrown out.
yeah, but it's something that leadership, right? He's one of the trustees at the church, and she's one of the teachers. But before anybody else gets here, you know, you guys come in right behind me, and then Pablo. Pablo gets here early. He gets a bus and he goes and drives, right? And then he does his own preaching. But Ricardo, when it was bumpy out there, when it was so bad, there was people that were dropping nails and everything else off the backs of their trailers, and some tools that I got a chance to get. But he would go out before the service, before anybody else got here, and he would take that magnet and pick all that stuff up so that people wouldn't get flat tires. Now, no one knew he was doing it, but he was doing it. That is surrender. That is like you see something, you go, you know what? I want to make the coffee. Get in here before anybody else gets here. Make the coffee, right?
Right.
And I'm going to do that.
If you know how to make it.
Yeah. Well,
If you don't,
Well,
stay away
I
from
made-
the
I
coffee.
made
maker.
coffee.
you got to put the pot in once you start the water.
Like, only if you know
Yes,
how.
it's a
It doesn't-
race.
yeah, but that's the kind of stuff you go, there's my ministry. She comes in early and she starts working on, when she's doing the slides, she'll sit there and start working on that stuff, or she looks at it and plays with YouTube. I don't know. But that's the stuff that you're doing. Nobody sees it,
I will say.
but you get in there and it's like, this is going to be my ministry is what
Right.
I'm going to do. And you know, until Jesus comes back, that's going to be my job.
Right. And that's how I feel like with this. Like this is my opportunity to
Yeah,
grow.
this is
and
part of it.
everything like
Yeah.
that. And I will say I made coffee once here, and apparently it was just so strong
Was
for
that
people.
who you were talking about?
All I was saying
No,
was
I
don't
know
make coffee. if you
Chip
don't know
makes
how to make it.
some pretty tough coffee too.
I
I've
don't
heard
know.
that.
Like
It'll
that one time I made
they
coffee,
fired
you were up there. You're like, "Woo, this is strong."
Oh, I thought that was Chip that
No,
made
that
it.
was mine.
Oh, okay.
And I'm here. Me and Chris are there drinking in the back. I'm like, tastes pretty weak. I didn't put
What?
enough.
Oh, my
It's
God.
because you're Colombian.
I could not drink your coffee.
Colombian.
man, no
What
way.
I was doing is I was pumping everybody in our service full of caffeine,
Yeah.
so that way they were like,
They thought they were in the spirit. They were just caffeinated.
I wanted them to
over caffeinated.
I wanted them to see
Yeah.
noise
Their
and hear
hearts like-
colors.
Yeah.
That was the goal: was hear hear
Yeah.
colors and see noise.
Yeah.
That
So
was the goal.
that explains why 10 o'clock that night I had to go to the emergency room with some folks. Thought they were having heart attacks.
They thought they were seeing Jesus all together at that one time.
Oh man.
But no, that's great. And now I want to transition from like the hard part that we just like the first initial steps, and is how does God respond to surrendering? Like now let's see it from his side.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of like, I was curious and I wanted to learn more about that. Like we see it from our side, like how we need to act, how we need to learn to give in and then follow. But what does God see in all this, like from his perspective?
The scripture says that God resists the proud. If you're not willing to surrender, it's pride. And so he will, and can you imagine God pushing you away? And he said, he resists you. That's powerful. You know, he said, well, I'm trying to get God to do this. He goes, you won't surrender. Well, I want to do this. You need to, I want to go, get up and sing. Yeah, but I want you to go take out the trash. That's somebody else's job. No, I want you to do that. You do that before they get there. That kind of stuff.
I was curious about that because it really interested me, because how would it feel like if you felt like personally, through that perspective, like I felt like I gave everything up and all this stuff, but then God looks at you like you haven't done
Not
it.
even started.
You're not even close to surrendering.
Yep.
And how would that
And the good
feel
news
then
is,
afterwards?
the more you grow, the more he and you will go, all you got to do is read a missionary letter and go, I ain't doing nothing. I'm sleeping too much. I need to get up.
Yeah.
I don't know enough. I need to be studying more. I need to be telling more people. These guys are getting put in jail for this, and I am afraid to do it because I'm afraid to be embarrassed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm having a hard day because I had to go to work, come home, and I still had to cook, clean, and I still need to read. I
had
need
to
to study
cook?
my FBI. I need to do. I cook, yeah, all these different things, right? And I was like, oh, so exhausted, tired. I know Robert don't like that, but I do say it sometimes. But at the very end of the day, right? I think about the missionaries.
you're the second one.
I
At the end
think
of
of
the
the
day.
missionaries exactly because that's come up recently, and I'm like, I, these women. I say women because I'm a woman. I identify
Wait.
with them.
Oh, okay.
That they're living in a different country, whole different world, and raising their little babies and their kids. More than one. I have one that I have to deal with, and I'm like going crazy.
Have to.
But and, they have like a lot of kids or several kids in a country they don't speak the language. They're trying, they're doing
Well, they speak a language.
not
They don't
their
speak
language.
theirs. Yeah.
A lot of times they don't speak their language. They're learning too, and they're learning that I'm struggling through FBI to get my information. And
I struggle with
retaining it.
English.
And yeah, exactly. I can speak Spanish and English, and then others language I don't even know what I speak sometimes comes out. So it's like I see my struggle, right, which is nothing compared to what others live on a daily basis. And it's like when I think about that, when I think like, oh my gosh, I can't do this no more. I'm like, shut up.
Imagine it before when you get home. When you
Slap in
you
the face.
you're gonna get
it's
some
like-
water to start cooking if you use water to cook. I assume you do. And
I don't.
I don't with a Pop-Tart.
Okay.
It makes it all soggy.
I use
It's
it.
hot and soggy.
Sure.
But before you can even start cooking, you have to boil the water just to purify it
Right.
enough so that you can then put it
You
in
don't
whatever
have the
else.
Convenience. They don't have
No.
conveniences the way I do. I can open my water faucet anywhere, and it
Yeah.
opens up to
The
clean
f-
water.
The flour that you have is the flour that you ground.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
like-
all of a sudden our times, we have more time than we ever imagined.
Right.
Oh yeah,
And yet we don't have enough time.
exactly.
You
That's what I say.
Gosh,
I'm like,
so many episodes that we've always talked
Changes.
about how we don't have time for anything, but we really truly have all the time in the world. So
It's just
many
what we
times we
choose
brought
our
that
time
up.
You'd
to
be
do.
surprised.
I should
we
almost
know
start
it.
making a tracker that pops up on here, and every time we hear it, just click it so we know how many times we've said it. Because it's true. It is so true.
Don't have
Well, I
enough
don't have time for this. I don't
You-
have time for that.
You'll
But then-
find time to do whatever it is that you want to
You
do.
wanna do,
Right.
yeah,
If you're
for
wanting
sure.
to do something, man, you are really quick to figure out, like, if I move this here and I do this here, then I have 6 hours and 28 minutes to scroll through.
Dang.
To
freaking-
scroll through,
Yeah.
scroll through your phone. Yeah.
No, but it's true.
We asked
Have
the
you ever
kids-
sat down and just scrolling, and then all of a sudden you look up? It was daytime, look back down, then back up. It's nighttime.
No,
Me neither.
never. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we
That was
asked,
definitely very
the kids.
true.
We asked the kids recently, like, yes, that same thing. Like, is everybody keep staying with your reading? And they're like, crickets. Only some dudes are good to do it. And I said, okay, let's just get back on track, right? What we talked about, let's pull out your phones. I didn't know that your phone tracks how much time.
Oh, yeah,
you're on.
easily.
So I said, oh, it does. Vincent says, yeah, look, open it. And so they all opened it, and they're all like, okay, I was on there, 3 hours something, 2 hours something. Doesn't sound like a whole lot when you got 24 hours in a day, right? But it is a lot, because after we started breaking it down, like what those little memes and things that the TikTok videos and stuff that they look at. They're like 3 minutes times whatever. We did all the math, right? And it's like, what? And then after that, like the one kid that's new in our class, he was there and he was like, okay.
It's
like,
kinda
you didn't
eye-opening.
realize,
It's
yeah, you don't
eye-opening when you look
realize
at the time
amount of
wasted.
time you exactly
Is
waste
wasted.
on those things.
Yep.
And you're telling me you don't have time to read a couple chapters every day.
I spend 2
It's-
hours a day just answering AI calls.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
There was actually a
Yeah.
very
You know?
there was a really interesting study I was reading, and some of it is kind of weird, but it's true. So in this study, since social media and smartphones, they've said that the average bathroom time was like 2 to 3 minutes, 5 to 10 at most. Bathroom time. Since that, the average bathroom time has jumped up to 20 to 25 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I believe it.
I heard another stat of a medical condition that
Yes.
people are getting.
That is right, risen. Yes, that is actually true. What
I'll tell you afterwards.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
but
Yeah, I'm sure.
but you will be prepared for it. How did that not come up? Oh.
It did come up. I know
Oh,
that you
okay,
can't
cool.
see it.
Yes. Oh no, I can see it. It's fine. Well, that not lack of.
I don't know how to translate it. That's why I'm trying to
No, it wouldn't be lack of faith. I wouldn't
What?
think when it comes to surrendering.
Sometimes it can be. Sometimes I mean it's rebellion either way you go
It's
with it.
a form of it,
Yeah,
I guess.
Well, if you won't surrender
Oh,
to
she's
God,
saying if
you're
you
rebelling
don't
against Him.
surrender, then
Oh.
is
But,
that lack
That's
of
that
faith?
lack of
But,
faith. I would.
Sometimes you rebel because you don't trust what He's gonna. God's saying, "I want you to do this," or you know,
I
you
would
heard
say,
it.
yeah. More,
I'm gonna do this,
more of
and
an
you go,
action of
"Yeah,
rebellion
I don't know,"
or
so-
lack of trust. Could you have
Well,
faith?
lack of trust. Trust would be a lack
Could
of faith
you have?
too.
Would it though? I mean, if you, yeah, I guess. I guess it gets weird like that. If you, that's like saying if the cat's alive in the box or if it's dead. You don't.
Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah, I feel like
I don't know if that's. I don't know if that falls into this, but yeah.
I mean, you could say that I trust God, but then, well, no, I have faith in God, but then your trust is not as much. But then that falls under. Then you don't
I don't know
have
that
faith.
you can say that statement, can you? If
That
you
just,
say,
like,
I
broke
trust
my
God,
brain.
but I don't. Or no, what'd you say?
I trust Him, but
Broke
I don't
my
have
brain.
faith to do the next thing He tells me. Then
Yeah.
you don't trust Him.
Then you don't.
Exactly,
Then
you
yeah, at
don't
the end of the
trust
day, you
him,
still don't trust Him.
ultimately. I mean,
It's
you
three.
can't. And that is,
Yeah.
See how it happens?
Yes.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm
Yeah, you
very
do.
confused.
He ended the dayed me.
Oh.
At
I
the end of
know.
the day,
Like in the news.
well, at the end, you did it too.
I
Yeah.
know.
You know,
what
but
you're
at the end of the
talking
day, anyway, it's a different thing.
Squirrel.
Oh,
Yep,
But
that's what happens.
I've said it at the same time. No, yeah, well, yeah. I'm gonna go with
yes,
It's gonna
I
be a
would
lack
say
of faith.
so. Yeah, I would say it
It's
has
lack
to
of
be,
faith.
because if you didn't, I mean, if you do have faith, it would be, I would say, easier to say that you would surrender. If you have no
Yeah.
faith, then what are you surrendering to, and why would you?
Right.
I
That's
don't-
like saying
Yeah.
you surrender to your TV. There's no true trust
no,
in it.
Yeah, what are you trusting in? it?
Because
There's
technically,
no-
because if you surrender your TV, you have control of the TV because you can
there's-
change to whatever
exactly.
you want to do.
There's no, I don't know what the word is, like,
If I
Yeah, you're
trust that He's going
controlled.
to do what, if I trust, I don't know where He's going with me, but I trust that He's going to do what's right.
Right.
That's what
Yes.
Job says.
Right.
I don't see Him, but
Is
He
that
knows the
blind
way
faith?
I take. Oh no, it's absolutely not blind faith because blind faith is based on no evidence. Faith that we have is based on evidence, because we have stories in Scripture that tell us what God did and why He is worthy of our trust.
So when
So we
people
have
talk
those.
about having blind faith and that's
Blind
trust
faith,
it,
dumb luck.
that's-
There's no such thing in Scripture about blind faith.
So really, no one should ever actually use that term
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Well, they talk about it. I mean, if I
But it's not actual.
it's not actual scripturally. It's not actual. But if I have blind faith and Trump's going to do something, that's blind faith, right? I have no proof of what he'll ever do that or not.
what
But
evidence do you have prior to
Yeah.
believe that?
and that's what he says. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. What have I? What do I know? I believe these guys really existed, and I believe they really did those things, and I believe that God really took care of them.
So
And
then,
He'd do it to me too. And that was the whole purpose of Hebrews 11. He'll do that for you too.
So then, I guess really the topic would be how do you practice your surrendering?
How do you practice surrendering?
I feel like that would be a key thing on how to educate and teach.
Yeah.
Is we understand what surrender is. We understand God's perspective when it comes to surrendering a little bit at least, and we understand from our perspective. But how do you practice it to enhance and strengthen and making sure that God doesn't look at you and say, no, you really have not surrendered. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, the surrender is going to be. It's going to be step by step, right? He's going to ask you to. I mean, He talks to you through the preaching and the teaching. He speaks to you when you're reading His Word and you go, oh, I see this, I see that. Now, how does that apply to me? Okay, now I need to do that. Surrender becomes when you see it, when you recognize it, when you hear it being preached or taught, and you go, that's what I need to do.
So replacing that control with trust.
Yeah. Well, with faith and action.
Trust, faith,
trust
and
it.
action.
Yeah. But if you're going to tell me to do something, and every time He tells me to do something, It either doesn't apply to me, or because I'm different than everybody else, or that just I just don't think that applies to. I don't think I need to do that. Then you're not in a place of surrender.
I wish I wrote it down. I forgot to. I don't know why. But I have on here Proverbs 3:5-6. Does that one ring a bell?
Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not to thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct thy path. He's telling you that in all thy ways acknowledge Him means you lean on Him so far that if He fails, you fall down. That's where the faith comes in. If you lean on Him, you trust in me so much that if I fail you, you fall down. And He says, don't lean on your own understanding. It just doesn't make sense to me. Why do I have to do this and they don't have to do that? It's like, it's not your understanding. God told you to go do it. Go do it. God revealed it to you through a message or through your Bible reading or maybe through a prayer time that you had, and God goes, what about you? Right? Those aren't fun times sometimes when you go do. But you go, okay, now surrender means you heard it in the message Sunday or Wednesday or whatever. You heard it. It's about you.
Right.
Now, what are you going to do about it?
Right. And I want to bring up one last thing before we kind of wrap it up. So when you were talking about that, so Jonah.
Yeah.
I feel like that is a key example about a person who tried to control and choose their own path.
Yeah, that worked well.
Right. I mean, we like eating sushi, but I felt like the whale had sushi himself.
Yeah. Yeah, Josie.
Josie. I feel like that's a song, Josie.
No, I'm thinking Josie.
and
The Josie Whales.
But so Joseph, let's see how I'm trying to phrase this. Did he surrender?
Joseph.
Jonah.
Oh, Jonah.
I'm thinking of
I was confused.
I was
like,
with
did
him.
you
I
switch
thought you were
over?
talking about surrendering when he was told to marry Mary.
Oh, that's
That's
so
why-
I'm
that's why
having
I was
two.
with you on that.
I'm merging two things. Jonah, because that's what I was talking
Jonah
about
never
first.
married Mary.
No, Jonah. Did he? What was his faith like? How would you explain his faith for God first?
You see faith and lack of surrender.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
faith and lack of surrender.
Yeah. Did he have faith? His faith was this: if I go preach there, God is going to save him,
Right.
and I don't want him saved. He hated the Ninevites,
Right.
and so he goes the other way. That's why he runs
went
away.
the other way, but he was
And-
still wanting
and
to
God-
preach God's word.
Just not the way God
Not to
wanted.
them.
Right.
And
so,
he did preach it because he told the guys on the ship, I'm running away from God because he wants to preach to Ninevites, and I don't want to preach it. He's telling them the whole thing, and he goes,
Right.
wait a second, this is because of you. And that's when they throw him overboard. And God put him in a place was,
Kind of like a timeout.
definitely a timeout. And they said, well, he died. No, he was in hell. It was a hell for him
Yeah.
to be in there, and that's how he described it. But he'd still be there today if he'd, I think,
Right.
still
and I
alive
think that's
and
why
still there.
Jonah
God would wait
confuses
for him.
me a little bit when it comes to that because he had faith. He wanted to still preach. He just didn't want to preach to a specific
Yeah,
area.
it wasn't. I don't think it wasn't a lack of faith on his part. It was a lack of surrender.
Right.
Right.
So
that's a case
so that
where
kind of like brings up to like this point the lack of faith. Jonah didn't have a lack of faith. He was still wanting to
he
preach
knew what
God's
God.
word.
He
It's
knew
just because
God
of
would win him.
control.
Yeah, he knew.
He
the
didn't
truth.
want
He just
that
didn't
control.
Want to. As I was saying earlier,
He didn't.
He didn't want to be controlled in that scenario.
Um,
He wanted to go somewhere else.
no, this is something completely different with Jonah. He didn't like the Ninevites. He
but
didn't
he
like them.
chose not to go. So that's
He-
him in
yeah.
control.
He's going, God, I'm not going to do what you tell me
Right.
to do
He
because
just
I know what
controlled
you'll
his
do.
path.
Yeah, for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can only do it so long.
Yeah, and then
But still,
Yeah.
so that kind of like brings up to that back again, the lack of faith. Jonah didn't have a lack
Yeah.
of faith,
no,
And
didn't
he
have a
was
lack of
wanting
faith.
to
He had a
still
lack of
preach.
surrender.
lack of surrender. So that's where it really falls.
Mm-hmm.
that's what I was saying. I think that's why I think some people you can surrender here and not here.
Sure.
Right.
That's why. And
Like-
early on, I was saying because
Partial surrender.
yeah, because or I surrender here and I did, but not anymore.
Right.
And I'm gonna do this and
Yeah.
not anymore.
Situational
and it's
surrender,
Like,
yeah.
That's the situation.
I feel like that commercial where the guy when the fisherman had the dollar bill. Oh, you almost got it.
Yeah.
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 Well, but right with Jonah, he was choosing not to, but because he didn't like them. That was his reasoning of not to. He knew the truth.
Right.
He knew what he was supposed to do. He just didn't want to.
So did Jonah technically fully surrender when he got out of the well?
No. He went and he preached.
Yeah.
And they got saved.
Right.
120,000 of them got saved. And then he goes and he pouts about it.
Right. So
was he surrendered? No. Was he doing it?
He was still. It feels like
it's like you can either.
It's like you tell your kid to clean the room and they're pouting and whining while they're doing it.
And you go, well, I don't care.
Yeah.
You be happy, glad, mad, or sad as long as the room gets done.
Right.
Still gonna do it.
And some of those things like that with Jonah is a demonstration where God's telling you to do something, and He ain't going to let up until you do it.
Right. And so that's why it brings.
And Jonah was
he was whiny.
He a type of racist. He did not. I mean, that's did not like him.
Right.
Well, it's because they took him into captivity. Is why he didn't like him.
Yeah, but I think that's where I struggle to understand, because he still preached God's word, not liking the Ninevites.
And it was a short one too, right?
Right. And he saved all these people, but I feel like when you're preaching God's word in his scenario where he didn't like it, he didn't want to do it, doesn't that feel like it taints God's word?
No, God's word won't return void. It taints his blessing of it. You want to win 120,000 people to Christ and you're pouting about it? Yeah. Something's wrong with your heart. Right? That's Jonah.
You know how we get rewarded with crowns for lives saved.
Right.
Because of the way he did it, does that mean those crowns are voided?
I don't know.
I feel like I'm thinking way too much into it, but it really interests me about that, because if I'm doing God's word but I'm pouting about it, then am I really doing God's word?
Paul talked about there were people that were preaching, and part of their preaching was preaching against what Paul was preaching, but they were preaching what Paul was preaching. But they didn't like Paul. And he says, Paul said, I don't care if they preach with contention to contend against me, as long as they're preaching the gospel. Paul said, I don't care. Now, God obviously does, but he says, if you're going to preach the gospel, if you're going to go out and say, I can preach better than he can, I'm going to go out and do it. I'll show everybody that I can preach better than he can. If you're going to preach with contention, that just
makes you feel like you have full of ego.
Yeah. Right. But if you're going to go preach the gospel, you're still preaching it. And somewhere along the line, you're going to get a wake up call to that.
Right.
But that's what Paul was saying. He says, I don't care if they're preaching it, being obedient or preaching with contention. Are they preaching?
Right.
So
yeah, I guess that's true. But it's just like comparing Jonah and then thinking about Job. Both of them, he truly surrendered, but I still struggle to understand. I mean,
who was the second one?
Job.
Oh, okay, Job. Okay.
I mean, obviously, you see Job surrender and still trust and follow that path that God laid out for him. And then Jonah having these hiccups and stuff, I'm thinking, like, these are two different people. And obviously, I feel like Job definitely has faith, but then I struggle to understand Jonah's faith because of the way everything panned out.
Yeah, he
didn't like faith. He whined and everything like that.
He didn't like faith. He lacked surrender.
The surrender part of it, and then I started thinking.
I feel like most of us are Jonahs.
Right, but then I think a little bit more in depth, and then the next thing that pops up in my head is Ezekiel.
Okay.
Imagine someone this is full surrender, screaming in the middle of the street, crying, and examples of what's to come.
What people would consider you're acting like a fool.
Right.
And he goes, I don't care. This is what God told me to do.
Right. That's, to me, that's full surrender. Like, you're willing to just show exactly what God.
Paul said that too. He says we're fools for Christ.
Right.
Like you can say what you want. Your boss, whoever, family members. It's coming up here for Thanksgiving. You go, say what you want. This is what God wants me to do.
Right, and you bring the word fools. Ezekiel did act like a fool, but yet we struggle and we think of ourselves as a fool just to mention the word God around people. How absurd does that really feel? Like, if I'm in a group in a work setting and people are talking in a way that I don't feel comfortable, that I feel like God doesn't want that type of speaking,
And you speak up.
and you speak up about it,
You speak up.
right? I mean, I have
Yeah.
no problem with it, but I'm saying like just for perspective from others,
Yeah,
like they as soon as they feel like, then they think in their heads like, well, now I'm going to be deemed the nerdy Christian boy that can't say a naughty word.
That's when God draws the line in the sand, not for them but for you.
Right.
You know.
And I think that's
Will
what doesn't
you
open up their eyes.
will you say that's the line you've drawn? I'm not. And I've done that in work.
I mean,
where
I
they
have
start
no
saying
problem
stuff. I go, "Let's don't-
clipping, the
Yeah.
branches of where I want my life to be and who needs to be in it and who doesn't.
Yep.
I had never had a problem with that.
Mhm.
If you want to talk to me, sure. If you don't want to talk to me because of the way I live my life, okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect to me, and I don't know if that's wrong or not. It doesn't affect me because I'm still going to live this life, and you can watch me live this life. If you want to be a part of it, come ask.
Yep.
If you don't, then I feel like you'll find out one day.
Yep. Yep.
So I don't
And
know.
you just continue to be there for them, and,
Right.
And so that because you never know when something happens. I mean, I've had it where someone didn't want to have anything to do with me, and then they're over at the house because some family member's sick, some family member died, and they're asking me questions.
Right.
You know, and so
That's
this
when
is
it comes up.
oh yeah, well,
Happy
where do I go?
Thanksgiving,
I
everybody.
had a guy call me up. One of the guys that worked for me, loved this guy. He called me up. Name was Gary, and out of the blue, he goes, "Can you talk to my son?" I go, "What about it?" So he went to a church service or something, a youth thing, and they were talking about stuff, and he's all confused. Can you talk to him? And I talked to him, and it was about salvation. I won him to Christ on the phone. But that's the the testimony that you have in those places. You might not ever see it at work, but they'll say, "Hey, can you preach this funeral for me?" Or "Can you do this thing?" Or "Can you hey, what about that?"
Right.
That has
do you
happened
concur?
in our life, in my life as well. Just like you may not, or you may think that you're kind of the what's that? What
You
do we
may
call it?
think
The
I'm
Black
crazy.
sheep.
Not the black sheep.
Jeans.
What's that scratchy stuff?
Sandpaper.
Sandpaper. Your sandpaper to someone, in the family or friend setting.
That is
They're
old comment.
the ones that you just kind of stay back here because they see you a certain
Or
way.
maybe you
or
put a
because
rock-
they think you're
is
a
it the
goody
rock
two
in the
shoes
shoe?
or whatever and stuff. So,
I don't know.
but
Are you the rock in the shoe?
maybe
That's me.
I don't know. But I'm
I
just
just want to
saying
be the
that
stone in the shoe.
no,
Oh,
but but as you said, I'm going to continue to live my life the way I feel like I should, according to God.
Right.
So,
Like we talked
but
about
there
before,
has
the
been
narrow path.
times, there has been times that, when they need prayer, they're coming to me, right? They're going to go to the person that can help them, hopefully, truly help them, right? So, and that's what we need to be ready for when they do come,
Right.
when they do ask, when they do finally be like, oh, I'm going to go to that nerdy girl who always talks about God, or while we're
I
at
know,
church or something,
If you're not referring to that part, go ahead and make a comment to what you are referring before we wrap it up.
I think someone's going to get a talking to when we get off.
We're about to go meet up for dinner,
She's
so I
like-
might have to
She's
answer.
like, all that, and you didn't even answer my question.
We will speak more about that at Waffle House.
Waffle House?
Mm-hmm.
Waffle House.
You don't like Waffle House?
I've been to several Waffle Houses.
Exactly.
It has not been a good experience.
That is the whole experience of
Oh,
Waffle House.
Never been.
It's for the experiences.
No.
Especially
So
the
you go
Florida
home
ones.
later and look at a bunch of YouTube videos
Right.
while you're sitting
Instead
there.
of watching YouTube on those things, you get to experience it
No.
in 4K. I'm on a 4K frenzy tonight.
that's
But
why
I went to
no.
the
young
Waffle
ones-
House one time and they didn't have waffles.
They didn't have waffles?
No.
That's not a Waffle House.
I've
That
been
It
to,
was
a
waffle.
I've been
It's
to
yellow and
KFC
brown.
before, and they ran out of chicken.
I've done that too.
What in the
We don't have any
world?
chicken left.
I'm like,
It's like-
how you have?
It's like, I can see not running out of French fries, but you're
Yeah,
a chicken place.
You're a chicken place.
It's
How
like
you
the
run
bank
out of
ran out of
That's
money.
why
It's
they
like,
ran out of chicken.
Oh my gosh.
I can see it both ways.
oh man.
But no, I think this was a great topic. I think this is it's something that everybody needs to self, like, I challenge everybody to, like, to reflect on it. It's like, how much have you personally have surrendered?
Yeah.
Like, really evaluate yourself, and don't, don't pull any punches on it. Literally lay it all out there. Like, what have I surrendered for God, and what have I promoted myself to do and allow myself to have that shouldn't be that way?
Right.
So
that's a good thought, and maybe write them down.
yeah, write them
Maybe I'll
down.
write them down, because what have I
Tattoo them,
what
Sharpie
have I
them.
what have I sacrificed? Because we talked only a little bit about that. It's included in that heavily. Like, what are you sacrificing?
Yeah.
What I mean, because it is.
It's true.
So
It's
if you're not sacrificing and your list is this small, you might need to think about it.
The best way to be a real eye opener.
You're always going to do it. There's your whole life you're going to be
Yeah.
doing that from the, you do it with when you get married, and then when you have kids, and then later in life it's going to be people dying, and then you're going to have spouses dying. It's always there's always going to be, and if you're not preparing for it, then those points where you have no choice but to surrender are extremely gruesome.
Right. There was a thing I've heard that from your early age, you go to more weddings. The older you get, you go to more funerals.
Yeah.
In life.
Sure.
Yep.
So, I don't know why I said it, but I don't know.
No, but that's but it's all about. You gotta have to give those things up.
Yeah. Since we're all dying here and no chicken and Waffle House fights,
we're
clearly
we want to leave you with an encouraging word. We're all dying.
We're all dying, and the chicken place has no chicken.
Clearly, I'm hungry.
Oh, yeah.
He's just
I
hungry, y'all.
don't know how that relates to dying and food now again. Okay, so thank y'all so much for tuning in. Clearly, the caffeine did not kick in, but
Are you sure?
or maybe it's overdosed the caffeine. I don't know. But make sure you like, subscribe, follow all the platforms, go check out all the other videos, and have a good Thanksgiving next week, because we won't be live. So enjoy that with your family. And honestly, this would be a fun challenge if you feel like there's a member in your family that is not close. Plant that seed. Be the first one. Mention it. Start that Waffle House brawl at your house. It's also fun and entertaining for everybody else.
Yeah.
But
I can tell you that ain't always true.
But like here at Reborn, 5 are in, 1 is out, and we're offline. Thank you.